you? Good to see you. Been a while. You doing
Good to see
okay?
you, sir.
Good to see you.
Yes, sir.
You over here on a raid?
Yeah, I thought I was gonna come get all your stuff. I heard you have a case of liquor back in the office.
It used to be the case.
We're gonna get it in your car now.
What self-respecting attorney would not have a case of liquor?
That's right.
No, we got 4 quarterbacks to choose from this year. One from my alma mater. We drafted a stick guy.
Did you see that Ben Roethlisberger had the nerve to comment on, oh well, the other player, just something like Rams, multiple wins, and even Ben Roethlisberger didn't come out and say that somebody who abuses women has no place in the NFL. And it's like, seriously?
You want me to sign with my name, it's not what Marcia's name is. Wait, what did I just sign? I hereby give all of my possessions to the city clerk. Wait a minute, you can't put that in there. No, you take it.
How are you doing, sir?
So after all the internet, after all the
Alright, I'm gonna let you. I thought I could make it, but I think I was trying to get me some coffee. So hopefully I don't.
Thank you. At 6 o'clock. We'll call to order the City of Douglasville City Council Legislative Work Session for tonight, which is Thursday, April the 11th, 2022. Our invocation will be done by Pastor James Harper of the First Presbyterian Church of Douglasville. And after that, we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by the Mayor Pro Tem City Council Member Terry Miller. Please stand for the invocation.
Good evening. It's good to be with you. Let's pray. Sovereign and eternal God, I give you thanks for this gathering tonight. I thank you for the leadership present here, those elected and those hired. And I pray, God, that they would have all the wisdom they need to execute the duties and the responsibilities and opportunities before them. They have a lot of work ahead. It's just such a great place to live, but not everybody sees it that way, and there's some disharmony. But God, there's so much confidence in these leaders and in this staff, and I pray that all the things that they've got going on, the plans for this city, the plans for this area, that you would prosper them. Pray that you would bring great encouragement to them when they feel doubts, when they wane in energy. I pray that they would know your encouragement and your joy and the pleasure that you have in the fact that they've chosen to serve this community and to seek its best. And we pray that you would give them the resources they need to do their work to bring the flourishing of the people of this community. And we pray all these things in Christ's name. Amen. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem, for leading us in the pledge, and Pastor Harper, we appreciate the encouraging invocation. I'd like to welcome you to the City of Douglasville's Legislative Work Session. My name is Rochelle Robinson. I'm Mayor of the City of Douglasville. The items that we are discussing this evening official action will not be taken until next Monday at 6 p.m. at our voting meeting. If this is business you are here for is not listed as agenda item, there will be ample time under the agenda item comments from citizens and delegates section for you to discuss your business. Excuse me. Just a few protocol issues I'd like to go over with you. I ask that you'll please keep your comments and presentations on a professional level dealing with the facts that are important for this governing body to make our decisions. We will not accept comments that are considered by the chair to be of a personal attack on any individual or group of individuals. Only one person speaking at a time. Please do not applaud or speak from the audience or carry on conversations when you're at the podium giving your information. I ask if you have any electronic devices, if you will please put those in silent mode so they will not be disruptive during the meeting. The agenda items will be handled as the following. The committee chairperson will read the agenda item, then that person or persons will come forward and present an applicant will present their information. Myself and council members will possibly ask questions to help us understand what you're presenting and then to help us make our decision on Monday. There are 20 minutes for those in favor, 20 minutes for those in opposition of each item, and each person has 5 minutes to speak. When you come forward, please, if you would hand a card that we've had out on the desk if you'd like to speak. Put your name and address and hand that card to our city clerk, Ms. Vicki Acker, and you come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. Each person has one opportunity to speak. This is not a question and answer format or debate. We're just here to really hear the information, deliberate, and make our decision on next Monday. If you have any printed materials, please hand that printed materials to our city clerk. She will make copies and distribute that information to us. So those are all the instructions. Now we will move on with the agenda, and after our announcements, our first committee is Economic Development Committee. That's chaired by Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business under the Economic Development Committee at this time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Our Finance Committee Chair is Councilmember Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have 2 items tonight under Finance. Item A is authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with Reeves Young LLC for the RFP 2022-03 Jesse Davis Park Improvements Construction in the amount of $21,910,988. Mr. Marcus Thompson is here to go over that process with us. Mr. Thompson.
Marcus Thompson, City Engineer, 6701 Church Street. I just want to give you guys briefly a recap over regarding the overall bid process for the Jesse Davis Park project. So we started off initially with phase one, which was the request for qualifications. From that phase, we narrowed everything down to three contractors, three general contractors, one being Rayland, the second Reeves Young, and the third Integrated Construction and Nobility, Inc. From there, we started the phase two process, which is the RFP that you see before you. From there, Integrated Construction, they declined to bid on the project, so we were left with Rayland and Reeves Young. And as you can see in the attachment, we received the two proposals from the two. Reeves Young coming in at roughly $21.9 million, and Rayland coming at roughly $22.7 million. There's a slight difference of $800,000. From there, staff evaluated both proposals. As you can see, from the phase one score was carried forward and combined with the scores from phase two. For phase one, Rayland scored 44. Reeves Young, we evaluated them at 43.6. We combined that with the RFP phase. For Reeves Young, that was 46.38. For Rayland, we scored them at a 38.25. And this is basically an average score from everybody that's a part of the selection committee. And so from that score, staff decided to select Reeves Young, proceed with Reeves Young for the Jesse Davis Park project. Are there any additional questions that you may have or concerns?
Madam Mayor, Council, any questions that Mr. Thompson may help us with on this item?
I don't have any.
Anyone? Okay, seeing none then. Mr. Thompson, do you have something else?
Yeah, almost left out something important. Reeves Young, I do want to add that Reeves Young portfolio does include over 20 park projects, which totals over 850 acres. Run down a list for you, a brief list for you guys. There's Lanier Land Park in Cumming, Georgia, Cherokee Veterans Memorial Park in Canton, Brookline Park, which is located in Dunwoody, Historic Fourth Ward Park in Atlanta, Georgia. You have the new West Side Park in Atlanta, Georgia that Reeves Young's been a part of, Carly Creek Park, D.H. Stanton Park, and I also did some work on the Centennial Olympic Park as well. So, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. We've not employed them throughout the years that I'm familiar with to do an improvement or do a park project for us, but they obviously have come highly recommended with that resume with them. I appreciate the process that you all have gone through and the scoring process, the way it was set up to be handled. If there are no other questions of Mr. Thompson, then we'll move on, knowing that this will come before us on Monday for a vote. If there are no other questions or comments.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a
Yes, Madam
comment.
Mayor.
Thank you so much. Mr. Thompson, I don't see their brag sheet. I don't see the portfolio of the projects that they've done in our documents. Is it attached here?
No, it's not attached, but I can
Okay.
send that over to
Okay,
you.
that would be great. That gives me comfort.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
All right.
We'll move on to item B, authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with Bartow Paving Company Incorporated for road resurfacing for the 2022-23 LMIG completion project, RFB 2022-006. Ms. Hampton, you'll have your name beside that.
I know, and you know I know so much about road paving, Councilman Adams, but I will call up Mr. Todd Dresdo, who represents our Public Services Department. Todd, you are our Operations Manager, is that correct? Did I get your title correct?
No, that is not correct. I am
Okay.
currently Maintenance Supervisor.
Well,
Oh,
he
okay.
is kind of like the third in charge over in Public Services. He'll take it.
So anyways, I will be,
Good fresh
Speak-
face.
yes, I'll be speaking on behalf of Mr. Roberts today. Thank you, Ms. Hampton. So we have before you.
Mr. Dresdo, let me
Oh,
begin. Let
excuse
me
me,
make
sir.
sure.
Yes, sir.
Name and address for the record for those that might
Thank
be
you.
viewing, please.
My name is Todd Dresdo. I'm the maintenance supervisor at the Public Services Department, 8145 Cedar Mountain Road.
I understand that this is your inaugural address
Yes,
to the
sir.
council in public meeting.
Yes, sir.
You're
That's
doing a
correct.
fine job, sir. Just carry on.
Thank you, thank you. So we have before you tonight the results of an RFP that we put out for the 2022 Elmig Road Resurfacing Project. This consists of 10 streets that were brought before council in January of this year for approval. The RFP was put out on July 8th, and all proposals were due by August 8th, so just a few days ago here. We've evaluated based on lowest qualified bidder. We received only 4 proposals from qualified contractors: Atlanta Paving, Bartow Paving, C.W. Matthews Contracting, and Magnum Paving. Bartow Paving came in as the lowest bidder, so it's staff recommendation at this time that we move forward with their bid.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dresdo. Comments, questions, council, Madam Mayor, anyone? Yes, Coach Watts, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have they done any repaving? Haven't they done some repaving for us previously?
Correct, sir. They actually had the last LMIG contract, which was a combined 2020 and 2021 LMIG contract.
All right, thank you.
And as I understand it, they are doing a great job and have done exactly as we've asked and taken care of any issue that the homeowner may have in their neighborhood.
Yes, sir, that is absolutely correct. They've been exceedingly generous to work with. They're very flexible.
So we'd have no hesitation in moving forward with them to do a repeat then of another series of streets.
No reservations whatsoever.
Okay. Any other questions? Madam Mayor, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Not a question, kind of a question, comment. I believe I know the answer, but just bringing the information forward, that 30% of the funding will come from the SPLOST and GDOT for the match.
So the 30% match is the minimum required to attain those GDOT funds. So we will actually be going above and beyond that. But all of the remaining funds, the remaining balance will come out of the SPLOST fund, correct?
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, others? Anyone? Mr. Dresdo, we appreciate you bringing that to our attention.
Thank you very
And we will
much.
bring that up on Monday night for a vote. And I will complete the Finance Committee's assignment for tonight. Madam Mayor, that's all that we have.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on then to item number 7, which is Housing and Community Affairs Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Dr. LaShawn Burdanley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight under Housing and Community Affairs.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll move on then to Legislative and Intergovernmental Committee, chaired by Councilmember Samuel Davis.
Yes, we have one item. Item A, adopt an ordinance to amend Section 2-154 to authorize the city manager to make execute on behalf of the city appropriate contracts without further authorization from the mayor and the council, where the city obligations are limited to the payment of money, the furnishing of routine city services, and/or furnishing of city property or facilities, and value of the city obligation does not exceed $50,000. Ms. Jackson, please.
Yes, thank you, Councilman Davis. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Chelsea Jackson, 6695 Church Street. Attached to the agenda, you will find Section 2-154 of the Code of Ordinances. If you stroll down to page 3, number 9B, I would like to turn your attention to the one change that will be made to the ordinance. Currently, it's $25,000 for the city manager signing authority, and staff is recommending $50,000. As you all know, at the last round of meetings, the finance department came before you to talk about the proposed changes to the purchasing policy. Once those changes were approved about 2 weeks ago, city staff also looked into items that may affect the signing authority and purchasing guidelines, and we decided that it needed an update as it relates to the city manager's signing authority. During the last purchasing policy, if you remember, prior to the one 2 weeks ago, it was in 2017, the signing authority was changed from $10,000 to $25,000. Because of the rise in inflation costs and the overall cost of routine contracts and small projects, staff began researching current signing authority limits of city managers in the metro Atlanta area and discovered most cities are having similar issues with low signing authorities. The cities researched were Decatur, Georgia. They recently increased their signing authority for their city manager by 15,000. Brookhaven, Georgia now has a signing authority of 50,000. Dunwoody, Georgia has a signing authority for their city manager of 50,000. Tucker, Georgia has 30,000, as well as Douglas County. All of their signing limits have to be signed by their chair. As a reminder, any projects above the amount of 50,000 would need approval from mayor and council, as well as they would have to adhere to the City of Douglasville's purchasing policy as well. Staff is proposing the signing authority for the city manager increase from 25,000 to 50,000. And I can answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Very, very nice report. Mayor and council?
Yes, sir,
Madam
Mr.
Mayor?
Chairman. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Jackson, Assistant City Manager. I know it is not part of the ordinance change, but if you could, like I just asked for Mr. Thompson, just attach the addendum of those cities that you received that survey from to let us, just see, put our eyes on. I remember, but some things I don't remember all.
Yes, ma'am, I will send
If you
in a
can,
moment.
yes, ma'am, so I can see those cities and see what they're signing for the city managers moved up to 50,000. You mentioned Brookhaven, Decatur, and some of those other cities in the metro area, and one by 15%. Is there just a general that is 15% or more, or do they put a dollar value?
Most put a dollar value. So I did mention that the City of Decatur increased their signing authority by 15,000.
Oh, by
So
15,000.
yes, ma'am. But other than that, it has been increased by dollar amounts. They look at the dollar amounts as it relates to routine projects and routine maintenance for their city manager to sign.
Okay, and as it says in the ordinance change, it's really for furnishings, facilities, and just routine city services. Like if a generator breaks down, or I know before we had the old conference center, the air conditioning unit had broken down, and it was in between council meetings, and we couldn't get a signing that was beyond the city manager's capacity. So this is to really encompass all of those types of issues that may occur.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And
Thank
even
you.
though her city manager's signing authority will be at 50,000, it'll still adhere to all the purchasing guidelines that you all approved about 2 weeks ago.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else from the council? Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Mayor and council would like to place this on the consent agenda for Monday. Council request.
Looks like it's good.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on then to the next committee, which is Personnel Organization Committee chaired by Councilmember Chris Watts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight, personnel and organization.
Thank you so much, Coach Watts. We'll move on then to Planning and Development Committee chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We
Welcome.
have several items tonight under the Planning and Development Committee. We will start by holding a public hearing and consider a request for a change in zoning from GC General Commercial District to LI Light Industrial District for 11.12 acres located at 12051 Veterans Memorial Highway, Land Lot 825, District 18, Section 2, Parcel A002. The parcel ID is 0825182A002. Application by Brannon Development Company, care of Arthur Brannon. Ms. Reed?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Shayla Reed, the Community Development Director at 6701 Church Street. As mentioned, tonight is a rezoning request for property located along Veterans Memorial Highway. This applicant, Arthur Brannon, is requesting have an industrial warehouse at 12051 Veterans Memorial Highway. It's located in Ward 2. This includes about 11.12 acres, asking to rezone from general commercial to light industrial. As shown here for current land use, the property is zoned for GC currently, and you can see surrounding those properties are other GC land components or residential. There is a separation for industrial of light industrial and high industrial located, but separated by Conley Drive and Veterans Memorial. The future land use does have a operation to allow for, or an opportunity to allow for industrial, but of course, as you know, land use is based on what's surrounding it. So I just wanted to add that piece, that it does allow for the LI and HI. So as you can see here, the sign was posted at the property. Currently, there's residential structure still there at the location. The property is composed or proposed to be composed of 1,035,250 square feet, with 11.12 acres. They're looking to have a little bit under 7,000 office space and a little bit over under 130,000 of warehouse. This is an elevation of the structure, a proposed elevation. As you see, it's called Project Blackberry. You're seeing here where staff has recommended denial of this request as it was found to be unsuitable for what is surrounding the location. As shown in the staff report, you're seeing where it's primarily near other general commercial sites. In rear of it was residential, where there is existing residential or residents in at least 2 of those 3 sites. If there was an opportunity for it to be proposed to have or allowed to have an approval, staff is asking for there to be the remaining buffers, a 50-foot natural buffer to remain or be increased, and also allow for the 100-foot setback to remain. That means not allowing for there to be any variances. Planning Commission also recommended denial of this. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Green. Ms. Reed, we appreciate your information there. At this time, as Madam Mayor has mentioned earlier, we will hold our public hearing. So if we could have the applicant or their representative come forward. You've heard the time limits that are placed on that, and we would like to hear from you concerning your potential project.
Good evening. I'm Fred Bentley Jr., 241 Washington Avenue over in Marietta. I'm an attorney over there. I'm privileged to be here today with 2 of the preeminent folks in the industrial world. Brannon Goddard is a well-known name in this area. I have Mitchell Brannon, who's the head of that group. This will be one of his personal projects. He and his brother are working on this, Arthur Brannon. They both are very accomplished in this area. They searched the area. We actually met in connection with your development authority, and they indicated to us that they have 26 individual folks that are looking for projects just this size. So I want to spend just a few minutes to talk to you. We filed a little constitutional letter. My good attorney understands, but let me go on and show you a little bit, because when we talk about what's around it, sometimes pictures are worth 1,000 words. So this is located. May I step forward?
Yes, sir.
You can see the particular piece of property is comprised of the closed car wash, the house here. So to give you just a little bit of idea. But if you notice across the street, it's separated by the railroad track, and then you've got a major industrial site directly across the street. And I'm going to show you some pictures. There's actually a junkyard just down the street, and then there's Rick's Used Appliances, which is, obviously we'd like for folks to do business, but we think that this would be something that would be an upgrade to the area. When we talked with the commission, your planning commission, they actually made a vote to approve it, but it failed on a 3-4 vote. So there was actually no vote against it. It just failed for lack of the other. So again, across the street, I'll give y'all some ideas of what this site, and that's part of the reason why I suspect it hasn't been developed in terms of any type of commercial use. And across the street, and then there's a motel that was shown in there. Here's the motel, and it's, I think, had a little bit of a better day. Like I said, sometimes. Want some help, Brandon? Thank you, yeah.
I know, he's being the Vanna.
All right, yeah, Vanna helping me out here. So here's some of the existing houses on there and the used car wash, so you can actually see car wash, so you can actually see what's located on the property. And then I'm gonna start back over here. Here's the junkyard that's located, and then you can see Rick's appliance store. So and there's actually a lawnmower repair business that's also located there. So it's, as they say, this has had a little better time, and, you know, like I said, things change over time. You know, when I grew up in the sovereign state of Kennesaw, there wasn't much there. And of course, now they've rebuilt and redone, and y'all have done a lot of the same things. So as we mentioned, the site, they proposed a landscape plan that will completely buffer, that are willing to meet the requirements that your professional planning staff has recommended. It's gone through, we've met several times with the folks there. We've had 0 folks in opposition. So there's, matter of fact, one guy showed, he said, I'm in favor of it. So that's the extent of what we have. So these folks are, it should be for a small business, somebody that wants to work here. It's not a big, huge, mega, this is really small in terms of that. But just to give you a little short idea, Brandon Goddard controls about 60 million square feet of industrial space in the market. They're the #1 leader in the market. I'm going to hand that to your staff person over here, who I helped in today. And again, we think that this is a great project for you. I'd like to yield my time to the 2 Brannons, if you don't mind, if that would be appropriate.
Not a problem.
Unless you have any questions of me.
Not a problem.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mitchell Brannon, 4547 Polo Lane, chairman of NEI Brandon Goddard, and my brother Arthur will speak in a minute. He's the developer. I'm really more of a real estate broker around the city. But I guess our theme here will be Douglasville deserves better. That's kind of, I want you to think about that as you're making these decisions, because they do. I have some background. I went to Floyd Junior High. I went to Kennesaw State University. I sold cookware out here 50 years ago. I'll be 70 shortly. So I've seen the area for a long time, and for the Douglasville community, it's a shame it hasn't changed in 50 years. That strip has not changed. I can go through all the real estate reasons and everything else, but I do think you need to make a statement out there. I think once this warehouse hopefully gets approved and we get it built at some point in time, I don't have an exact schedule for that, it will help other people in the area see they need to improve their properties, fix them up, it'll hopefully create values, help values in the area. So I think it is making Douglasville better. And I'm happy to address, I want my brother to speak, any particular questions you have about uses. There was some question about trucking and those concerns, but so I'm going to be efficient with your time, but thank you for consideration. Arthur?
I just want to say, after hearing Pastor James Harper give the blessing, that consider us a resource. I think we would be a big positive for the area. We'd create taxes for the city of Douglasville, tax revenues. We'd create jobs for this area. We'd be a high-quality building. I don't think, as Mitchell said, there has been anything built in the last 50 years, especially a substantial private development along that stretch of Veterans Memorial. We want to be good neighbors, landscaping, setbacks, buffers. I think we'd be a positive for the community. It's a light distribution type facility. Won't be that many trucks. It's small relative to the big developments of industrial that have trucks. This facility wouldn't have that many trucks. It'd have no truck storage. We're just a few hundred yards from the new connector there from Highway 92 to Veterans Memorial. I think that will be the way trucks will move back and forth. So I don't think it would disrupt. I know the planning committee, one of the members jogs that area and was concerned about trucks, but I don't think it would really have an impact with trucks. And it'd be good for business people here in this area.
So again, let me say thank you for the opportunity. We're seeking no variances, so the original application included that, but we have withdrawn any variances in connection with the site.
Thank you, gentlemen. I have a couple of questions, and then I want to open the floor both for Madam Mayor and for council to ask you questions, and then we'll allow the public to have any comment either for or against. But just a couple of questions that I had. You have nicknamed this project Project Blackberry.
Correct.
Is there not a user in place? Should this be approved? Is this a spec building? That's the reason you have a coded name, or is it just you just like blackberries?
We like Blackberry, but it's a speculative type building. We believe there's enough demand in this marketplace, particularly for this size building. Everybody's building large buildings out here, and so it would be a speculative type.
It would be a spec building, okay. There are several, and I will refer to a page in our attachments, Mayor and Council, I'm looking for it. There are several residential properties that I think staff and the planning board have referred to that some concerns for it abutting something that would be zoned light industrial. I'm looking for that now, but I want to say there are 4 or 5 residences. And Ms. Reed had mentioned the possibility that if it were approved, that we would require that those setbacks and buffers remain and possibly even be increased. I'll just ask the question, are there possibilities that those could be increased in order to protect those residents that have been there for many, many years?
I don't know that we can make the plan work having any more setbacks. I can let Arthur address that. I would suggest this to you. I live over in, I guess it's called the West Side now, and my brother lives about 150 feet from the warehouse, and they are great neighbors because generally on the weekends, nobody's there. They don't provide a lot of traffic. And if you're familiar with Atlanta Road, the trucks go up and down that, but and that's a huge industrial area. So I think they're actually very good neighbors. So, because I'm seeing this all over the city. In fact, over in that area, I'm rambling here, excuse me, they're building $500,000 and $600,000 townhouses right next to the warehouses. They're all over the place.
Yes, sir.
So you're seeing much improved residential traction with these buildings.
I understand. Thank you. I'll open the floor for any questions that Madam Mayor or council may have. I see Mayor Pro Tem Miller. Go ahead.
Thank you, Councilman Adams. I will say that, first off, that it does take, there's a Yiddish expression, it takes a lot of chutzpah to say that a 100,000 square foot warehouse is going to improve the neighborhood. I've never heard that one before, but notice that in your site plan, it appears that you're actually, it doesn't seem to reflect your renderings that there's actually going to be, this is going to be placed in a depression. It looks like you've got about a 20 or 30 foot depression off of the highway, so it's going to be down.
Yes, good
So
point.
how does that come in line with the residences on the backside? Does that put it more level with those residences?
It's going to be more level with the back of the property.
Okay, so it doesn't go back up or anything like that. And I don't know if you can answer this, maybe staff can answer this, how far down the street is this from the Mill Village development that we're working on? Do we know that?
I'd ask our community development director or possibly our engineer to answer, because I'm not certain of
I'm not
the exact
familiar with the
distance.
development that you're mentioning. I'm sorry, what development did you mention?
The Mill Village. The Mill Village development.
We'll look it up really quickly
Yeah,
and
I'll look it
get
up.
an answer to you.
1 second.
Because, I mean, that, you know, what we're trying to do there is a mixed-use development, and I would be very cautious to say that if this was going to be very close to that, it actually would not improve that particular development, and it's on the same street, it's just down, it's a little closer toward the downtown. Okay, that's all I have for the.
We did meet with 3 owners of the homes that are abut, and they indicated they were in favor. They actually appeared, and we visited with them, and they were very satisfied. We handed them our cards, and they had no comments. They said, "We love what you're doing." So,
Thank you. Others? Yes,
Mr.
Mr. Davis?
Is that the Old West Lumber Company, is that in
No,
between?
no, sir. No, this is going to be on the south side of Veterans Memorial, just before you get to where the old, and Sam and I are talking like this personally because we've lived here all our lives. The old
Tiger
bowling alley,
Den.
the old bowling alley side.
And Tiger Den?
Yes, sir. Near there, back
Okay.
toward the city. There's an old car wash there. There's
Right.
Bilbo's Motel, just right next to it.
Bilbo's, yeah, I know.
So I hope that helps you with the location.
It really
Yes,
did, thank you.
Others? Madam Mayor, did you have a comment?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So from general commercial to light industrial, it is a rezoning. It's an ask to change the zoning. And the other thing is that we have several areas where we do have manufacturing and industrial, and we have some concerns with truck traffic. So Veterans Memorial Highway is a major thoroughfare for everyone driving. So I don't know, you're saying, do you have a user in mind that you would know when you don't have a user in mind?
We
'Cause
don't have a user in mind. I would suggest that when you go to west side and other areas of town, warehouses, you go to Buford, they got the top school system in the state. They have a tremendous amount of warehouses. Gainesville, you can go up there. I don't see this being manufacturing. I mean, we don't have an area to store trucks on site, which most of the larger buildings do. And I know it feels large to y'all, but in the industrial arena, it's a tiny building.
Yeah, that, for Riverside Parkway, is this in comparison, city manager or community development director, to Riverside Parkway and all the warehouses that we have in that area?
So this particular area is separated from industrial. The particular parcel that we're speaking of is primarily surrounded by commercial and residential.
Right.
The only thing that's allowing for industrial to be nearby, there's a separation on Conley and then Veterans Memorial. So there's nothing that's industrial that's immediately adjacent to it. So it's in the area, but not next door.
So manufacturing, that's what, okay. So they're saying this is industrial and not manufacturing.
So manufacturing would be more the HI, heavy industrial, and then the LI is more so just distribution. But if there is an opportunity where you're concerned with a particular use, you can always put a condition to be a particular use, particularly what it's asking for now. You can restrict it to being just that condition.
Okay, I'm just trying to put parameters around so it won't be so intrusive and bring more truck traffic in the area and more traffic in general. Because we understanding in Riverside Parkway in that area how many concerns we have about traffic, and then over on the other side of Highway 5 in Bright Star, all the traffic coming in. So everyone would be trying to get to I-20 and using that in this same area.
Correct.
For over there by Riverside, not Riverside Parkway, but Bright Star, Highway 5, that whole area is going to be a lot of traffic. And this particular development would use that same route for I-20, getting back and forth on I-20.
Yes, ma'am. So the property that you're speaking of, industrial is near, so you will see trucking there. However, your most immediate adjacent properties will have a lot of car traffic, which means it would have to be two different styles of traffic adjacent to each other. You usually like to put those same styles of traffic together to allow for there not to be any type of intrusion amongst the both of them. So that's why the likings of uses should be together.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you. And for the applicants, do you all have any concerns about the conditions that were recommended from staff with the buffers? You said you could not do your project with the buffer. That was.
So the engineer's here, and I think we're fine with those recommendations.
Okay.
I would say this, only thing you can finance in the last number of years would be either industrial or apartments. Any type of mixed use or retail development would be extremely difficult to finance today. So I think it could be years before, just based on the condition of the marketplace.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Hootie hoo for my daughter, who's a senior at Kennesaw State. I said hootie hoo. My daughter's a senior at Kennesaw State.
Well, congratulations.
Yes, in 2023 she'll.
I actually taught there and set up the scholarship program there.
Oh, great.
And brought Coach Dooley over there to start football program.
The football's great. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Coach Watts, did you have a question for the applicant?
Well,
I think we can have one more.
My question wasn't so much for the applicant, it may be for Mr. Dodson, I'm not sure. Or maybe Ms. Reed, but when when zoning requests, changes in zoning come like this, down the road, approving this type of zoning change, does that make it harder when somebody else comes along and wants to do the same thing on another piece of property in the same area? In other words,
President?
yeah, precedent.
Yes, so the trends that we take in any rezoning should be considered for what the future looks like. So if you make an action today, we do ask that you consider that for any future actions for the sake of what that does for the next applicant. So yes, any precedent, any rezoning you have will create that.
Coach, can we put that question to our counselor as well?
Sure.
What you just asked?
Zoning is site-specific, and whenever you rezone something like this, you probably need to redate your land use plan. But land use plans are not static. In a situation like this, you should probably look at what it's looked like for the past 50 years. And Mr. Adams may agree or disagree that stretch of 78 from Highway 92 to Lithia Springs hasn't changed in terms of what's built. You have some different names on the buildings, but there's been almost no development there. I likewise don't know how long this tract has been zoned general commercial, but I think it's been for several years. And of course, there hasn't been any activity to develop anything there. So those are factors you have to take into consideration when you're zoning property. The fact that you zone something in a particular site doesn't necessarily mean you have to zone something else in a different site simply because you zoned one somewhere else. To answer your question.
My apologies, Councilman.
Other questions, other comments before we open the floor for
I was just going to say.
public comment?
There are very few sites of this size, and this isn't really a big site, so they're not opportunities for more light industrial, in our opinion. This would be probably one and only in that area.
Short of some assemblage of some sort?
Yeah.
Short of some assemblies, which would be expensive because you have to buy out businesses.
Yes, yes, understood. Okay, let's open the floor for those individuals that may be here with us tonight that would like to speak either for or against this rezoning. We will start with those that would like to speak on behalf of it, in support of it. Please, if there is anyone, please come forward. If not, if there's anyone here that would like to speak against this rezoning, please come forward. Seeing none, then we will close that portion of the hearing, and we will take this up then on Monday. I'm sorry, Coach Watts, go
Just
ahead.
one last comment, and this is more for staff. Between now and Monday, is it possible to get the pictures that were showed to us tonight up front here somehow uploaded, so we would have access to these? Well, I just would like to be able to look at them.
Could you send them electronically?
Over the weekend.
Can you send them electronically?
Were you
to us?
speaking, Coach Watts, of Ms. Reed's
No, the pictures,
PowerPoint presentation?
the pictures that they held up were not part of our attachments.
I understand.
And,
Okay.
And I also, an exact location, I kind of know, I think I know where we're talking about. I'd like to be able to see it in person.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate that input. And I'd like to encourage those on the council that are not familiar with the exact site to familiarize yourself with the site and actually go to that area and look at the neighborhood in the area, not just from the pictures, but actually visit it. Travel down Veterans Memorial and turn right on Conley, because then at that point you would then be looking at the back side of this property, and you would see those properties that are residential zone that would adjoin the back of it.
Mm-hmm.
So you could drive all the way around it between Dura-Lee, Veterans Memorial, and Conley, and that should help you to familiarize yourself with it. Okay, if there's no other comment, we'll move on to the next item.
Before
Thank
you
you
get to
all.
Bankhead Diner.
Pardon me?
Before you get to.
Yes, ma'am, before you get to that shopping center that is Bankhead Diner, basically anchored. Yes, ma'am. Let's move on. We've got several items to cover. We appreciate you all coming and bringing that to us, and we'll speak with you then on Monday. Item B is to hold a public hearing and request a special land use permit for a packaging and distribution facility for property zoned LI Light Industrial, being 25.88 acres at 2120 and 2084 Skyview Drive, land lot 480, 481, 521, and 522, District 18, Section 2, parcels 1 and 2. Parcel IDs are 04801820001 and 05211820003. Application by Home Chef, Relish Labs LLC, care of John Clues. Ms. Reed?
Yes, sir. So as mentioned, this is a special land use request for property located along Skyview Drive. The applicant, Home Chef, is asking for the allowance of a food production manufacturing company. It's located in Ward 5, and it's requesting to have, as mentioned, a food production for property that's currently already zoned for light industrial. The property is located, as mentioned, along Skyview, and it's located within an existing industrial district or area. It has the future land use already in place that allows for this style of a use. Just a reminder, yet again, it is an industrial site already, as you're seeing here. Along Skyview is already there as an industrial warehouse. The property itself is identifying to show where it will front along Skyview Drive, and as you're seeing, the surrounding property and the elevations and such on the site plan. With that, staff has reviewed the application and found that there has been no concerns for their request, and staff has recommended approval of this request as well as your Planning Commission during their August 2nd meeting. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Basically, the reason for the need for the special land use permit, Ms. Reed, can you help us with that?
Yes, sir.
Why that is needed, even though it is already zoned as is required?
Yes, sir. So when there is a special land use request, that is because your UDO says that there's additional parameters that you need to consider in the allowance of this application being the business license, the allowance of it and such. So with that, the manufacturing of food, this is basically just ensuring that they have the parameters for an environmental opportunity for the kitchen that allows for them to have the manufacturing component of the food. With that, we have found it to be suitable for that location. So it does not have any environmental concerns at the site, any challenges that would allow for there to be concerns of wetlands or anything like that. So with that, it's suitable and it already has the zoning.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'll open the floor for staff, for council or Madam Mayor with any questions or comments. And I would specifically think that Councilman Estes may have a comment. If not, that's fine.
I would be happy to say that in light of the work that we have already done for this project, I think this makes sense and I support it.
Thank you, sir. Any others? Any other question or comment? It is a public hearing. We do need to allow comment from citizens that may want to speak either for or against, so I'll open the floor for that to be done at this time. Whether you speak for or against, please let us know. Give us your name and address for the record, and we'd love to hear from you.
Madam Mayor, Mr. Chairman, my name is Brad Skidmore. I live at 3350 Stove Hill Court in Marietta. I'm the attorney that represents Home Chef in conjunction with this special land use permit application. And I'm here tonight simply because John Clues, who is the project manager with Home Chef, is staying close to home. He and his wife are expecting their first child, and she is close to the eve of her due date. So barring his coming tonight versus being available for Monday night for the official vote, he asked if you all would indulge my presence. As you all may already be aware from the earlier discussion last month before the council, this particular project for Home Chef is part of a much larger package or project for economic benefit to the community. One thing I do want to make sure that the council members understand, like we emphasized to Planning Commission, is that we didn't we didn't want to leave the impression that going through the process of this application and requesting and trying to obtain the required approval for this special land use permit was being circumvented by the presentation of that larger project. Quite frankly, our original application and schedule had it such that we would have been before the Planning Commission right around the July 4th holiday, and then before you a month ago on this. But in deference to the Douglas County Economic Development Authority and the concern that if we came first, it might have some negative impact or draw away from the overall presentation for that project, we decided to request a deferral, and we're fortunate enough to get that from the commission and the council. Just to refresh your memory, this is a major addition to the city of Douglasville in many ways. From the pictures, and as Ms. Reed described, this is an existing facility. The owner of the property, it's two special purpose entities that own the two parcels that make up this 25-acre site. Oakmont Industrial Group out of Atlanta is the owner. They invested about $2 million in the raw land acquisition and have spent another $13 million in the construction of the shell of the building. I had the pleasure of going on a tour of the building last week before the Planning Commission hearing, and it is almost ready to throw the switch and start the process for the manufacturing and food processing that Home Chef intends to do. That ticket is about $24 million of additional investment in the community in that building itself. One of the things I was also surprised and pleased to hear in preparation for the Planning Commission hearing last week was that in our initial application, the creation of new jobs, new employment in the city of Douglasville was going to be 380. In the time period between when we filed our application in May and as part of the overall larger economic development project and Home Chef's plans itself, that number has increased now to 680 new jobs in the Douglasville area. And those are not insignificant jobs. The average wage for those new 680 positions is almost $20.50 per hour. On a calculated basis, the annual income for each of those positions averages over $43,000. What is now on the plans that is part of that increase in jobs is that Home Chef has decided, because of its positive experience with the Economic Development Authority and its ability to leverage the logistics geographically that are here, it is naming this location as its flagship. Currently on its plans, there will be at least 3, if not 4, additional distribution facilities like this constructed across the United States, but this is the first of its kind. This is going to be the model that they go from. What that means is there's going to be a lot of traffic from people from other parts of the country involved in other industrial development, and it's going to bring them right here to Douglasville to see what's available, which we hope will engender further development. But we certainly will be making it part of the Home Chef model and plan to continue to run people through as part of the ramp up that will increase, that will mean the increase in those jobs is beyond the initial $24 million that's already been invested for what is the repackaging business that will go on. There is another $4.6 million in top-of-the-line food-grade equipment that is going to be purchased in the first 12 to 15 months after operations begin, which we hope is, the target is to open for operations in September if we are fortunate enough to get approval on Monday night for this. We've targeted that because At my advice, I told them we need to at least wait the 30-plus days to see if there's any kind of challenge, if we're fortunate enough to get a positive vote and have the permit granted. I can't say enough great things about it. I'm sure you've all heard a lot about it as well. I'm happy to answer whatever questions that the council may have, both now or based on further comment. But we appreciate the opportunity to be here. We appreciate the positive support that the council gave to the overall project last month. And to say the least, very excited for Home Chef to be a new member of the Douglasville community.
Mr. Skidmore, let me apologize for not allowing you as the applicant, along with Ms. Reed's comments, to make your presentation. I apologize.
Oh, no apology at all. Listen, given that this is somewhat old hat for you all based on the prior presentation that the Development Authority made, I certainly understand that.
Well, that was my fault that I didn't ask for
no.
you to come forward automatically, but we do appreciate your presentation and your information that you've shared with us. So I'll open the floor again to see if there might be questions or comments of council. I see Madam Mayor's raised her hand.
Thank you so much. Pronounce your name for me again.
It's Brad Skidmore, Skidmore.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Skidmore. No, let me tell you, you got me a little bit confused. I thought one of my friends was here from the Metro Mayors Association, Mayor Rusty Paul from Sandy Springs. I said, is that Rusty sitting there trying to spy on my meeting?
You're not the first. I used to live in Sandy Springs, and one of my partners, Chip Collins, used to be on the city council with Rusty, so.
Oh my, I mean, sincerely, you guys, check the trees. You might be cousins or something.
Understood.
But, yes, sir. So I did want to thank you so much for Home Chef. We're really excited that you've chosen Douglasville.
Just to kind of gild the lily a little bit, I'm not sure if they made the comments during the presentation last month. Douglasville was picked out of 5 cities in the southeast. Memphis was the original intended location because of FedEx being one of the major ways in which Home Chef delivers its products throughout the southeast. But when they started looking at logistics for how the delivery was going to go throughout the southeastern footprint, the Metro Atlanta area was that, and then Douglasville because of the progressive, nature of the planning and all of the great work that Chelsea and Shayla have done on this have really helped to bring this to be.
Thank you so much. Now, I know it does seem a little bit like the cart has gone before the horse because we had to, let Elevate Douglas bring you into the door, but we do appreciate. If you can just, for the public, just give us an overview of what Home Chef does. People have asked me.
And I apologize, yes.
That's okay. I know it's food preparation and all that.
Home Chef, as the name suggests, is cooking at home. Home Chef, Relish Labs LLC is the official business name, and their operational name is Home Chef. It is an operation that is very similar to some you may be familiar with, Blue Apron, HelloFresh, some of the others. The Kroger Company, who owns Relish, simply saw a need to supplement that and decided to invest the time. Initially, it began as prepackaged food that you could pick up in the convenient area of the store, and then literally through grassroots comments from their customers, especially with the pandemic coming, they were asked, why don't you do like Blue Apron? Why don't you do like HelloFresh? And the more they looked at it, and the more they looked at what their distribution and resources were in terms of produce, meats, and things of that nature, they just decided this was something they felt they could get into, and now it's a go.
Very good. So your friend or the applicant who's having the baby, we can just send him home.
Yeah, well, great.
Home Chef food. So that's all I had. I just wanted to make certain that.
Right, and I
that
appreciate you
understanding.
pointing that out.
Yes, sir.
It's one of those things, I'm so familiar with it, I just make the assumption others are, so I appreciate your.
Yeah, so it's exciting, just people in the community that ask. I've said, well, I know it's connected with Kroger, and they do prepackaged food and all of that, or that's already. So in your facility, Ms. Reed did talk about that you met all the requirements for EPA or environmental. So will you be preparing food there as well, or testing different foods? Or?
Initially, no. What it will do, it will just be bulk repackaging.
Okay.
And given that the requested use for the food manufacturing, we believe is consistent with two of the already approved uses that go with, under the code, that go with the light industrial zoning. Those codes are NAICS 3114, which is processing or preparing canned or frozen and preserved fruits and vegetables and specialty foods. And then the other is NAICS 311812, which is a baking operation. The original plan was simply to just do the bulk repackaging of produce and take already pre-cooked meats and put that with it. But given the quality of the construction and given what they're capable of doing within the facility that has been built on Skyview Drive, they felt like adding the actual food preparation, which would be the handling and cooking, which is to what Ms. Reed referred to, is what would have generated the waste production or the environmental concerns. And based on existing operations in the area, as well as what the plans would be for this to meet those same health code requirements, that would be part of it.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
If there are no other questions of the applicant, then we will go back then and see if there's any other comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Skidmore, we appreciate your presentation. Is there anyone else here that would speak either for or against this application? I think we have covered it. All righty, we thank you all. We will take this up on Monday, and we will move on then to item C. Consider a request for revised plat approval for Van Zant Road for the purpose of combining parcels 3 and a portion of parcel 6 for 3.316 acres on Van Zant Road, land lot 903, District 18, Section 2, parcels 3 and 6. Parcel ID 09031820003 and 09031820006, application by Dickinson Investments, LLP, care of Doug Dickinson. Ms. Reed?
Yes, sir. So this is a property that has a need to expand their existing acreage. So they've taken the parcel nearby and asked to take a portion of that, as you're seeing in your staff report. A portion of that will be taken from one parcel and added into the other for the sake of having a larger facility at their property. So this is just basically reducing the size of one to add to the size of the other. And the business itself will be a climate control storage facility. And so with that, once staff had the application, we transferred it over to the other agencies as shown in the staff report. And with that, there were no findings of concern, and so staff is recommending approval of this request.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Reed.
Thank you.
Staff has presented this application to us for revised plat approval. Questions, comments? Yes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much. Not any questions, just a comment. I think it's a wise decision and a smart business move to combine these and enlarge the facility with the development that we have coming on Van Zant Road, the housing, so looks like it's a good project. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Are there any other questions or comments? This would actually sit on the opposite side of the street, I believe, Ms. Reed, from the development that is coming on Van Zant. Is that correct?
Yes, it will.
It would sit between Van Zant Road and I-20.
That's correct.
Okay, and there's a small, and I'm on page 4 of our packet. There's a triangular piece, I believe, that has a dotted line running north and south, and then an angle off. That would be the actual property that would be added to this.
Yes, sir, that is correct. So it sits in the center of the two pieces, and so the dotted line is the portion that will be added to the property to the left.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
If there are no other questions or comments, or anyone else that would like to speak concerning it, then we see what we have as a request for revised plat approval. We'll take that up on Monday. Thank you, Ms. Reed.
Thank you.
I'm sorry?
Anyone that want to speak?
Was there someone else that wanted to speak concerning the application? Please come forward. I'm sorry. Come forward. Give us your name and address for the record. If there's any information you can help us with, I apologize for not calling on you.
Y'all pretty much covered it. Mike Forlaw, 8665 Baldwin Parkway. The only thing I want to add is the acreage that we're discussing, the half acre, it's not really usable. The current parcel that it's in, it's on the other side of a creek. So it just makes even more sense. It would be usable to the parcel that we're hoping to add it to, so.
Mr. Forlaw, that would bring up a question that I would have. I see that there is a stream there, and you have a 50-foot undisturbed buffer and a 75-foot impervious setback. There is no request for any, to go into that buffer. It's just you want to have this additional property to use. It would appear probably about half of it or a little less in with the parcel that you're combining with. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So there's no variance request or anything like
We're
that?
not requesting a variance.
Okay, just want to make sure that we're all together on that. Other questions or comments? Thank you, and I apologize, Mr. Forlaw.
No worries.
I'm off. I've been used up today. All right, thank you very
Thanks.
much, sir. We'll take that up then on Monday. We'll move on to item D. Consider whether to accept the petition of Native Development Group to annex 17.44 acres of land at 1040 Crown Point Parkway into the city limits of Douglasville. This is shown as a team project, it appears. Mr. Joel Dodson, Ms. Miranda Jordan, our attorneys, and then Ms. Shayla Reed. Who would like to take that? Counselor? Ms. Reed? Somebody. Take it off my hands.
Okay. So this is something that Mr. Dotson has asked to bring before council as a discussion. I received an application for an annexation. I found there to be questions to bring to Mr. Dotson to ask of the acceptance, and he thought to bring it to you as a conversation piece. So I am here to serve for any questions that I can answer at the time.
Ms. Reed, can you familiarize us? I don't see anything as far as a plat identifying anywhere where there are any streets. We can't really read the site part that is shown. Where are we?
So the property is located along Bright Star Road. It's currently, of course, in the county, and it's located adjacent to a piece of property that is in the city limits that's currently zoned commercial. And that's pretty much all I have for it, is that it's located along Bright Star Road.
Would it be across the street from where our Bright Star connector dead ends into Bright Star Road?
Yes, it's in that direction.
So if we come to the stop sign at Bright Star connector, we would look straight across the street?
Right there, it's not Marco's Pizza, not up that far, it's
No,
right?
no.
The connector.
No. Bright Star connector, not
Okay.
Douglas Boulevard.
Bright Star
Connector,
Yes.
north of I-20.
I'm suspicious.
Am I on the right parcel?
There's the exact same address in Dunwoody, Georgia.
Well, let me ask.
I'm not going that far.
Is the Native Development Group, maybe our agenda, isn't this filed by the Marsand Group?
Yes, this is, the applicant's name is Native Development Group.
Okay.
And in the paperwork, I believe I did see that, Mr. Dodson, I believe I did see that name. Yes, it is on page 5, on the signature page, Marsand Douglasville LLC, Crown Point.
Well, okay, what we're here for tonight then, I gave you all a memorandum a couple of weeks ago about a
Yes, sir.
change in the law.
Yes, sir.
Basically, what you're here for tonight is decide whether you want to accept the petition for annexation or not. If you accept it, we then give notice to the county and the Board of Education to give them time to make an objection. Accepting the petition does not obligate you to vote to annex it later. If you don't accept it, then it's dead. Basically, notice will not be sent to the county and the Board of Education.
Point of order. 1040 Crown Point Parkway is the address shown for Marsand Douglasville LLC. It is not anywhere near the address that we should be considering for annexation.
Yes, that's what I mean. I'm not sure the agenda is, I'm not sure that description is anyway. The petition has what you're talking about. And it looks like the tract, it may be 15.321 acres.
Okay.
If that's the there's something called new annexation tract, which I'm not sure what page that is, but anyway, that's the property. This property is part of a tract of 29.5 acres that abuts what used to be called the old Blue Diamond Quarry.
So it backs up to the quarry.
Well, part of the big tract does. I think it's currently zoned, low residential in the county, isn't it?
Correct.
That's what this shows, yes. That's what this shows on the application.
Let me ask a question. Is the applicant, were they notified that we were going to consider this tonight?
No.
Okay. Well, well, you won't consider it until Monday. You maybe we can notify, didn't Mr. Fowler file this?
Correct.
We can notify Mr. Fowler and let him come on Monday night and discuss why he thinks we should accept the petition. That might be an appropriate thing to do.
But I'll go back to our confusion on addresses, because the description of what we are considering here shows an incorrect location address.
We'll clean that up, Councilman
I
Adams.
don't know how that happened, but it's, anyway, it's not at that address. It's
Okay.
where I started.
Yeah.
And that's the reason it's difficult to identify.
Correct. I'm looking at it in the application. The clerk and I, we're reviewing it, and we'll clean it up.
Okay. Questions, comments? Yes, Coach Watts.
Is it appropriate to ask at this stage why they want to be annexed into the city?
Well, that's a question I think you can ask, but there's no one, so you may have to get the applicant or his attorney up here
Gotcha.
to deal with that. I don't have any idea why they want to annex.
So
The reasons are they either need a liquor license, or they think it'll be easier to get it zoned here than the county. Those are the two reasons people usually annex.
I believe Ms. Reed has some information to that effect.
Yes, sir. So in speaking with the applicant has, as I mentioned, there's a piece of land that's already in the city limits that they're looking to add to that piece of land to expand a potential development. So the parcel that's in the city limits, they're looking to add to that by annexing this piece in to make it a larger development.
So, if I heard you correct, they want to enlarge what they already have for development. We don't, do we know what that development is? Is it zoned for what they want to do in the city, or is there going to be a zoning rezoning?
So I will say that they do not have the current zoning that they're wishing to have. They would have to have a different zoning.
Yeah, on
Okay.
page 6, the application says they're requesting that it be zoned LI.
Well, I'm not sure I'm 100% comfortable voting on this on Monday, when that's going to be the first time we're going to be able to ask them questions. I don't know if tabling
If you
it.
want to defer it, that's perfectly okay. The new statute doesn't set any particular time
Okay.
limit. And once we accept it, we have to give notice to the county and the BOE within 30 days of acceptance. The statute does not specify
Okay.
a minimum or maximum length of time you have to consider the petition.
Gotcha.
Good
Well, and I'm not, I'm just me, I'm saying that I'm not comfortable necessarily going forward Monday, because that's the first chance we're going to have potentially of speaking with them, but I don't speak for the council, it's just me.
Thank you, Ms. Reed.
Thank you.
We will take that up then and hope we'll be able to get representation that could potentially answer questions that have been asked on this item tonight. Any others? One more thing. We'll go to item E. Authorize the mayor to execute a temporary easement for performance of upgrades to sanitary sewer line and related agreement, granting a temporary easement from the city of Douglasville to SL Douglas Place LLC across and through real property known as parcel number 002501501138, abutting Stewart Mill Road at Reynolds Road for the purposes of improving a sanitary sewer line. Ms. Miranda Jordan, our Assistant City Attorney, has her name beside this item.
Good afternoon, evening now, Mayor and Council. Miranda Jordan, Staff Attorney, 6695 Church Street. So this item, the property, I'm not sure if Council's familiar with this, but it's a small strip of land that is between some property on Stewart Mill Road and Arbor Station Development, and basically runs along Anawake Creek there. There's a small part of that land that the applicant has asked us to grant an easement for to do improvements to the sanitary sewer line that runs through there at this time. And as you can see on the attachment, there is a graphic which will be attached to the actual easement itself. And it just shows that strip, and the property owner on the part of the land that abuts and runs along Stewart Mill Road is Suzanne Owings, and then the other side is the Wynwood Village subdivision of Arbor Station. I'm happy to answer any questions regarding this.
Ms. Jordan, what is the purpose? I'm assuming it is, or exactly what it says, but does this have anything to do with other developments within the community that we are involved with S.L. Douglas Place LLC in order to upgrade sewer lines for the industrial buildings there on Highway 5? And is that a part of this process, or do you know?
I don't know, but that would be a great question for Joe Fowler when he is here on Monday.
Okay.
I would assume so. It's the same property owner and the same line, from my understanding, that is dealing with the golf course easement.
Okay.
That we were
was
working
my
with as well.
question. Okay.
So that is my understanding. It's the same project necessity.
Okay.
The easement that goes to the golf course will go under Interstate 20 and connect with this sewer line.
Okay. That
So
helps us.
my guess, if I had to make an educated guess, would be that they're having to make improvements to accommodate more
Sewer flow.
activity.
Okay.
But I can't be sure on that. I apologize.
Yes, Coach Watts?
I'm totally turned around here, because I'm looking at this abuts Stewart Mill Road and Reynolds Road, and y'all are talking about the golf course, and I'm lost, because when I think of Stewart Mill Road and Reynolds Road, I'm familiar with that. I don't know how that is close to the golf course. So
Well,
I'm
I think
confused.
it's, what ties the two together, Coach, is the sewer line itself. In other words,
Right.
it's upstream, it's downstream from the golf course, which is north of I-20, and it's downstream, and it's also downstream from Stewart Mill Road at that intersection of Stewart Mill and Reynolds Road. Am I correct?
I think that's
It's
approximate.
Right,
in that
that's-
hollow there at Stewart Mill and Reynolds Road.
It was, I don't know if this is correct, y'all may know, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that they had sought some type of connection with sewer lines that serve Chapel Hill subdivision, the backside of that Chapel Hill subdivision that's in that area, and were turned down by the HOA, or I'm not 100% sure, but if, Madam Mayor, you may know.
I do remember.
That
I do
they,
remember something
is this
like
the
that.
same group, same sewer line that's
I don't
seeking this
know.
easement from us because they couldn't get it from them? And I don't want to throw out a bunch of misinformation, so I guess I need more information about
Well,
that.
I would assume that they're asking for us to give them a temporary easement because we are the owner of that strip of property. Is that correct, Mr. Jordan?
Correct. And there will only be a slight part of that entire property, which is 8 acres, that will be affected by the easement.
Now, City Manager, do you have any information about what I brought up?
I was just going to recommend that it probably be advantageous, as Ms. Jordan mentioned, to have Joe Fowler, since we're requesting he be here on
Gotcha.
Monday, to address all those, if you're ready to do that. And we'll make certain, anytime we have any concerns such as this, we'll have the parties that are interested here to represent themselves.
So we could use some of Mr. Fowler's time. He could wait on us.
Absolutely.
It's a good idea. Okay, questions or comments? Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There is a larger scale map that's included with our package, but it's.
What's the page?
It's page 11.
Okay.
It's pixelated a bit, so I'm assuming it's attempting to put a little bit of the line, extension of the line into context, and I assume
Yes.
that's Arbor Station it's running through, but I can't see any of the street names because it's,
No.
the scale's not right. So I'm wondering, can we get a corrected map that's scalable, that we can see?
Yes,
Somebody-
I can get that, and it will be uploaded tomorrow.
Okay.
When the agenda is published for Monday.
Yeah, it's, because it looks like it's following the stream bed, if I'm.
That is correct, it is.
In a way,
Yes,
it's the
sir.
stream bed.
I
And then
remember
it's-
that.
But then it seems to dead end in the middle of Arbor Station, and that doesn't seem, is that correct? Or is that, you said that if it's eventually connecting to the golf course, it should be going beyond where it seems to be terminating there.
I may be wrong, but I believe the long straight line at the bottom of the display is coming out of Arbor Station. And then it's following down to,
Yes.
to Reynolds Road and Stewart Mill. But we'll have that information on Monday, correct, Ms. Jordan?
Station streets.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Other questions, comments? We will have that information for us on Monday. If there are no other, then we will take this up on Monday, and Madam Mayor, that concludes our information for the night for planning and development. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on to the next committee, which is Public Improvement and Beautification Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Nicole Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business this evening for public improvement and beautification.
Thank you so much. Public Relations Committee, chaired by Councilmember Howard Estes.
No business this evening. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome. Public Safety Committee, chaired by Councilmember Samuel Davis.
One item, item A, authorize the mayor to sign an equitable sharing agreement certification with the United States Department of Justice for sharing of fortified assets. Major J.R. Davidson. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mayor, and Council. J.R. Davidson, 2083 Fairburn Road. This is the annual report we make to Department of Justice concerning the receipt and expenditure of seized assets. So for fiscal year '22, there was funds received was a total in cash was $22,438.82. Sale proceeds, which is under other income, is $10,312.50. And what that is if we sell any vehicles or anything that were seized, it goes back into the funds. So the total funds received is $32,751.32. And then on the expenditures, the total is $16,068.62. And down below that, on the same page, $6,365 of that $16,000 was spent on training and education. $9,703.62 was spent on travel and per diem for those training classes.
Okay, Mayor and Council, questions?
I don't see the balance, Major Davis. I'm trying to, is it a balance on here?
Look on page 2.
Page 2.
Next sheet.
Line 8, is that the balance you're referring to?
Okay.
On page 2?
Yes, sir. All right, thank you. Ending balance, okay. That's all I have.
Anyone else? If not, I'd like to put this on the consent agenda for Monday.
Hey, you're wearing your flak jacket tonight. Are you
What?
expecting trouble, or?
Just
Moving
changing
right
up the
along.
wardrobe today.
Just changing it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on then to Recreation, Culture, and Tourism Committee, chaired by Councilmember Chris Watts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight in Recreation, Culture, and Tourism.
Thank you, Councilman Watts. Technology Committee, chaired by Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business at this time under the Technology Committee. However, we will have one item a little later in the evening under executive session.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Transportation Committee, chaired by Councilmember Dr. LaShawn Burdanley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business under transportation tonight.
Thank you so much.
You're
That
welcome.
concludes our committees. Now we will move on to other business. Do we have any other business to come before council tonight from the elected body? Okay, I don't see any. Then we'll move on to updates from our city staff. Our city attorney, Mr. Joel Dotson.
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, Attorney Dotson. Staff Attorney, Ms. Miranda Jordan.
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, Attorney Jordan. Our Police Department, Major Davison.
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much. Over there looking sharp. Our City Manager, Ms. Marcia Hampton.
Yes, ma'am. Just to let you know, we have a quick executive session, so it will not be that long. Afterwards, if you all want to forsake your break so you can get out of here, I know you've had a long day. And the other item is that City Hall will be closed next week because we have to do our final roof repair, but in a sense, City Hall will just be open in various buildings. So if you need finance, they'll be at here at the conference center. If you need human resources, they'll be at public services, but our community relations department will be communicating all that information out. So any citizens looking to reach us, they can still call the 7709-203,000 number and reach someone at City Hall.
Okay, it will not affect planning and development, that's, community development,
Annexes.
that's on the hot spots.
Yes, a whole nother building, so they're
Okay.
safe. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, City Manager. Comments from citizens and delegates. If you have sustained the meeting and you'd like to speak to us, please come forward and give us your name and address for the record. And you have 5 minutes to talk to us about any business germane to the city of Douglasville. I don't see any. So I will open the floor for a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss a cybersecurity matter.
So moved.
Thank you. Okay, it's been properly moved in second to go into, adjourn into executive session to discuss cybersecurity matter. All those in favor, are there any comments or questions from council? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Do we need a brief break? Yes, okay. We will go into executive session. It's been properly moved in second to adjourn into executive session to discuss a cybersecurity matter. After a short recess, we are into executive session.